guest today is really, really special. She comes from one of the early batches in the 1970s, and she has an amazing list of stories to share with us. Um, Also, she is a Padma Shri. She's been elected to some of the most prestigious science academies, not only in India, but around the world. So there's just, and of course, she's a distinguished alumni at IIT Bombay. But let me give you all of her accomplishments and body of work just in proper serial order before we go to her. She's an Indian physicist and academic specializing in elementary particle physics, field theory, and phenomenology. And she's currently an honorary professor at the Center for High Energy Physics at the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore after her superannuation. But she's got like this amazing list that let me quickly start off with. She did her MSc from IIT Bombay, where she was the silver medalist of her batch in 1974. She then went on to do her PhD in theoretical particle physics from Stony Brook in the US. And then she was given a doctorate in literature by SNDT Women's University, as well as the Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, Pune, both of which, of course, as we all know, are they've been, century-old universities pretty much around and really produced great education and talent. She will soon be receiving a DSc from the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur, and she has got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Karnataka Science and Technology Academy. Don't tell me I didn't warn you about all of this. She is got about 3 decades of work exploring different aspects of the standard model of particle physics. And now I believe her work is about the physics that goes beyond the standard particle model. So it's called BSM. And I can see her nodding because she agrees with that. And we'll go into the details of that as well. I told you about her Padma Shri. I told you that she's distinguished alumni. She is also the French government winner of the highest civilian order there, which pardon my French, but I think it's Ordre National du Mérite. She got that in 2021. She also has some other interesting side passions, one of which is promoting women in STEM, but I will tell you about that later on in the show. Welcome to her story, Dr. Godwal. It's such an honor to have you here.
Hello.
So you were, just before we started, you were telling me about, you were in IIT in the early 70s, and there were about, 40, you still remember the numbers, I think, but between 30 to 40 women in the ladies' hostel, as Ashton was called at that time.
There were 52 rooms, but 26 rooms on each floor. But in these 50, I don't think all the 52 rooms were occupied. And in terms of students, I think women students, we had a combination. There were MSc students, there were maybe 15 or, of us. And IIT, the main, so to say, the main IIT students, as it were, who were the maybe 20, 25. And they use, I'm sure you know this, that in IITs, the MSc types were sort of looked down a bit, they say, thinking that our fundas were a bit goal. But the postgrads,
oh my God, I love that. I love how you remember the exact number of rooms and you remember all of this. Yes, the undergraduates were often guilty and wrongfully so, because we have seen so many of our distinguished alumni come from the master's programs and the PhD programs. So in fact, you were recalling that 2 of the distinguished alumni were ladies who were from your time. So out of like a small number of 40, we got 2 who really achieved great heights, and the institute was very, very proud. Dr. Marlene Kanga, you remembered her fondly. We have her on her story as well. And of course, you were talking about Vijaya Galagar, who was the first woman's President's Gold Medalist from IIT Bombay. But you remember all of this. Your memory is just razor sharp. Okay, before we come, sorry, what's that?
I said these are important things, such as Vijaya being the first, President's medalist. I mean, I remember still Vijaya, who was in second year, who would come in, and say that, this is a problem from Kittle I cannot solve. Can you please help me? So that's what the memories are all from.
So let's, you said that Dr. Patil said, why do you want to go abroad? Why don't you stay here? But of course, in the end, you did, and um, you went on to, do your postgraduate studies there, but eventually you came back. So this whole question about, and surely, um, just as a layman, the opportunities as an academician that you might have found overseas might have been very, very enticing. But the choice that you made, where did that choice come from? And if there are others who are making those kind of choices, what should they keep in mind?
Okay, this is a very good question actually, because I can tell you this, that in our batch of 17, I mean, I'm talking of a post-STEM, only the MSc program. So the, even in this small class of 17, I think at least two, if not at least half the class has stayed in the US. So is in the US even today. So certainly, most of us who went abroad with me stayed there. I think I'm one of the few who came back. And let me also say, when I came back, it was, I mean, if you look at it professionally, it was not a very great decision. I mean, I should have done one postdoctoral fellowship after my PhD, and I had an opportunity. I had two offers, and one person had said that if you can wait for 2 months, we might be able to make you an offer. But I had offers, one in Europe, one in US. And I was here, I have spent 5 years in US. I want to go home. At that time, it was just this, I want to be home. And I think somewhere at the back of the mind also, I was brought up, as I said, in a very middle class family, and you had certain sense of values imprinted on you. And you felt that you also owed something to the society, that you should be doing something for the society also. And at that time, I felt if I come back to India, I will have, I have more connections to the society around me, because that's a society I grew up in. I understand it. So maybe I will be able to do something
So let's begin with I believe.
in myself.
If I could, I would.
Remove discrimination in the world and ensure that the world is a fair place.
I love.
Nature.
The world needs.
I think the world needs to think about the future of mankind and also the environmental challenges.
I'm passionate about.
Particle physics and women in science.
Ah, I wish.
That we all get to lead the life we want and not what somebody else chooses for us.
If you fall.
You bounce back and try to find out why you fell.
Lovely. I like the way you've used the word bounce back. So often people say, you pick yourself up and move on, but like bounce back has just a whole different, mind state associated with it, which is so powerful. The stuff I don't sweat.
About is politics.
The state of the government. The
Exactly.
less said, the better. Success is.
It's hard to define.
Oh, that is just like so well put. One thing I wish somebody told me when I was 18.
That it's impossible to be a superwoman, that and I shouldn't try to be one.
The most important thing to remember when I step into work.
Today is a new day.
The famous line, oh, tomorrow is a new day, the famous line from Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, but that's why I said today is a new day.
Today is a new day. Yeah.
It was
IIT
inspired
Bombay.
by that. I should tell
It was
you that.
inspired by that. Nice. IIT Bombay to me is.
A place where my journey into the unknown began. Seriously. Into the world of physics.
And your message for IIT Bombay.
My, you want me to give a message for IIT Bombay? Or,
Mhm.
okay. I will
Yeah.
actually say that it will be a slightly longer message, that
Mhm.
I feel I'm very happy with the way, because I can say this because I have been also on the board of governors of IIT Bombay for 5 years. So in some sense, I have seen IIT Bombay as a young student. I have seen IIT Bombay as a young researcher who has had collaborators in IIT Bombay. I have come and given some, you know, small courses of lectures to the IIT Bombay students. And last but not the least, as I said, I have been also on the board of governors of IIT Bombay. And I am really happy the way the institute has moved and evolved. I will talk about particularly the thing that is close to my heart, and that is about gender parity. I really feel that the institute is alive to the need of achieving gender parity, but I feel that we need to aim for a gender neutral environment. And that means importantly that the institute has to be even more attentive about how to spread the awareness for the invisible and unconscious bias, and not just spread the awareness, but institute majors in the hiring, institute majors in the selection of students and in the treatment of students, such that the invisible and unconscious bias is reduced. This is a non-trivial fact, but I think this is one thing that I hope that something like IIT Bombay can actually hold, an example, can create an example for the rest of the institutes of higher education in India. This would be my real message, as it were, to IIT Bombay.
And that would make it an even more beautiful campus
Correct.
and
Even
place
more
to
enjoyable campus.
more enjoyable to spend some of your most precious years of your life. Um, well, it's just been such an honor, Dr. Godbole, to just hear about your experiences and all the stories. Um, I before we conclude, I just wanted to ask you one last question. What's the source of your energy? I mean, at an age where so many people are thinking about retirement, you look like you're set to go and God willing, like a nice innings, you're still somewhere pretty much like at the 50 mark on a Tendulkar innings. What's the secret?
I think I'm lucky to have been born with the disposition. So,
Uh,
by God's grace.
you're going to put it onto nature?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, the point is that I think if you really ask me at the end of the day, I would really put it back to my parents who let us evolve freely. And I think that, frankly, there are not enough. If you haven't, how should I say this? But if you let yourself free, I think this energy is within all of us. And I think I thank my parents for making me the person I am in terms of, my approach to life, my approach to my work. I think I would hand it down to them and nature.
Lovely. Spoken like a true physicist, I have to say, you have to bring in the free energy piece that came in. Well, Dr. Godbole, thank you so much for joining us on Her Story and
Thank
really
you very
giving us
much.
such a
Happy
candid
time.
account, really, of such beautiful experiences that you've had.
So, bye bye.